Madam Speaker, I move to suspend the rules and pass H.R. 1407 as amended. I rise today in support of H.R. 1407 as amended, the Veterans Compensation Cost of Living Adjustment Act of 2011. This is an annual bill that authorizes a cost of living increase in veterans' disability compensation, veterans' clothing allowance, and dependency and indemnity compensation for veteran survivors. This increase is tied to the increase in the cost of living adjustment for Social Security beneficiaries. I'm also glad that the committee was able to include H.R. 1671, the Andrew Connolly Veterans Housing Act, to the end of this bill at the full committee markup. This amendment was introduced by Mr. Braley of Iowa. It provides a 5-year extension for the VA to provide specially adapted housing assistance to individuals residing temporarily in housing owned by a family member. Unless it is extended, this program will expire on September 30th of this year. I urge all my colleagues to support H.R. 1407 as amended, and I reserve the balance of my time. Thank the gentleman for his kind words. Look forward to working with him on his issues and other bills that will come before our committee in the future. And at this time, Madam Speaker, I would yield such time as he may consume to the chairman of the subcommittee on Disability Assistance and Memorial Affairs, Mr. Runyon of New Jersey. I would invite my good friend to visit Florida's Great Northwest sometime in the winter, where thousands of people live like millions wish they could. So you're welcome anytime. I ask unanimous consent that all members would have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks on H.R. 1407 as amended.
Without objection, so ordered.
And Madam Speaker, I once again encourage all members to support H.R. 1407 as amended, and I yield back the balance of my time. Madam Speaker, I move to suspend the rules and pass H.R. 1627 as amended. I thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized for 20 minutes.
Thank you again, and I rise in support of H.R. 1627 as amended, a bill to provide for certain requirements for the placement of monuments in Arlington National Cemetery and for other purposes. H.R. 1627 as amended is a bipartisan bill that contains several provisions related to Arlington National Cemetery, which were originally included in H.R. 1627, H.R. 1441, H-Con Res 12, and H-Con Res 45. H.R. 1441, introduced by Mr. Runyon, codifies regulations and policies that bar reservations for burial or interment at Arlington National Cemetery made on or after January 1962. There was broad support for this legislation at the committee's legislative hearing, and we've included 2 changes that Arlington management raised with the original text of the bill. Now, the bill as amended also includes additional transparency for the process of waivers for new monuments at Arlington. Under the process set up in the bill as amended, whenever the Secretary of the Army approves a monument in compliance with the criteria set forth in the bill, Congress must immediately be notified of the decision. Congress then has 60 days to pass a resolution opposing the Secretary's position. This provision provides a clear check and balance on the Secretary's decision while removing the added time that it usually takes Congress to pass a resolution in support of the waiver, as required by the current process. The bill as amended also includes H-Con Res 12, which expresses the sense of Congress that an appropriate site on Chaplains Hill in Arlington National Cemetery be provided for a memorial marker to honor the memory of Jewish chaplains who died while on active duty. The honor of this monument for these brave service members is long overdue, and I am especially glad that we were able to pass this resolution during the month of May, which is Jewish American Heritage Month. And finally, the bill as amended includes H-Con Res 45, which I introduced, honoring the service and sacrifice of members of the United States Armed Forces who are serving in or who have served in Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and Operation New Dawn. As we observe Memorial Day next week, I believe it's very appropriate to acknowledge the courage and sacrifice of these veterans and service members from our most recent conflicts. I urge all members to support H.R. 1627 as amended, and I reserve the balance of my time. I too want to thank Mr. Wiener, my good friend from New York, for his fine work on this piece of legislation. Proud to have it in the bill today in this particular time of the year in the month of May. I ask unanimous consent that all members would have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks on H.R. 1627 as amended, and I yield back the balance of my time. Madam Speaker, I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
I rise today to support H.R. 1383 as amended, the Restoring GI Bill Fairness Act of 2011. This bill would temporarily increase the post-9/11 GI Bill program's national cap on tuition and fees paid by the Department of Veterans Affairs on behalf of certain veterans pursuing programs of education at non-public institutions of higher learning from $17,500 to $27,000. The original post-9/11 GI Bill that became effective on August 1st of 2009 required VA to pay 100% of the tuition and fee charges up to a maximum cap that is based on a state's most expensive in-state undergraduate tuition and fee charges at a public institution of higher learning on behalf of a veteran with at least 36 cumulative months of active duty since September 11th of 2001. Veterans with fewer months of service since that day of infamy would get a proportionally smaller amount. The maximum payment would apply to veterans attending both public and private degree-granting institutions of higher learning. As a result of basing tuition and fee payments on the in-state undergraduate rate, VA made tuition and fee payments well in excess of $20,000 annually on behalf of veterans attending private institutions in states with high tuition and fee charges at state schools. In addition to tuition and fee payments, the new GI Bill provides a monthly living stipend. The stipend is the same amount paid to an E5, generally the pay grade of a sergeant or petty officer second class, at the with dependents rate in the zip code of the school the veteran is attending. For example, a veteran attending the University of Maryland in College Park receives $1,881 per month for the 2010-2011 school year. The post-9/11 Veterans Educational Assistance Improvements Act of 2010, which was passed on December 16th of last year, made several changes to the post-9/11 GI Bill. Those changes included a national cap of $17,500 on tuition and fee payments for veterans attending non-public institutions, effective the 1st of August of 2011. The $4.1 billion pay-as-you-go cost of providing those changes was met by reducing education benefits in some areas. For example, a $17,500 cap on tuition and fees paid on behalf of veterans attending private schools was instituted to help pay for expanded eligibility for other veterans. Although the cap of $17,500 a year will be a potential increase in payments for veterans in most states, some veterans attending non-public schools in 7 states, New York, Texas, Arizona, Michigan, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, and South Carolina will see their tuition and fees payments reduced by thousands of dollars. And reducing tuition and fee payments could force veterans in these states to find non-GI Bill resources such as loans, grants, or employment income to pay tuitions and fees. To counter the incoming reduction, H.R. 1383 as amended would temporarily increase the cap on tuition and fees from $17,500 up to $27,000 for 3 years beginning the 1st of August of 2011. This increase would apply only to veterans who were enrolled in non-public institutions of higher learning before April 1st of 2011. I believe it's only fair that we grandfather in these veterans. To meet statutory pay-as-you-go offset requirements, the manager's amendment to H.R. 1383 would extend existing loan fee requirements associated with the subsequent use of a VA loan guarantee for 1 year at a slightly higher rate than would otherwise apply. Although not perfect, I believe this offset is dwarfed by the $4.1 billion in offsets from the Veterans Education benefits passed by the House last December, with only 3 members voting in opposition. I would also note that the veterans community has previously supported offsets that are similar to this, used to improve veterans benefits, as in being done in H.R. 1383. Madam Speaker, this bill is supported by the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, the Military Officers of America Association, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Student Veterans of America, AMVETS, and the Reserve Officers of Association, and I ask unanimous consent that these letters be included in the record.
Without objection.
I believe the alternative seen in the manager's amendment meets the concerns expressed by members desiring as minimal an impact as possible on our veterans, and I encourage all members to support H.R. 1383 as amended, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
Without objection.
I rise today in support of H.R. 1657, a bill to revise the enforcement penalties for misrepresentation of a business concern as a small business concern owned and controlled by veterans or as a small business concern owned and controlled by service-disabled veterans. Madam Speaker, Public Law 109-461 created new opportunities for the service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses and the veteran-owned small businesses to be afforded contract work with the Department of Veterans Affairs. However, this bill had the unintended consequence of encouraging unscrupulous business owners to fraudulently claim to be a veteran or service-connected veteran-owned small business in order to get those VA contracts. H.R. 1657 would add teeth to the VA's enforcement ability by requiring the Secretary to debar any company that fraudulently claims to be a service-disabled owned business for no less than 5 years. The debarment would also apply to the business's principals. I want to thank Mr. Stutzman from Indiana for introducing this much-needed piece of legislation, and with that I reserve the balance of my time.